Welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James, and we're going to have a whole host of different people from different backgrounds coming in because it really is about building a community of like-minded people that's just open to listening and hearing from other perspectives. The revolution is going to be because of us.
Gentlemen, it is now come to the time that we have a conversation. I have been saying for years on this show that black men need to have a conversation, black men alone. We have got to figure out what is going on with us. This is not something that black women can help us with. This conversation does not include black women. Black women stand down and stand to the side. Black men need to have a kumbaya amongst themselves, and I'm a niche this out a little more. And it's heterosexual black men. I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for this, but I'm gonna say it out loud with my whole chest. Straight black men are the cancer of the black community. That's where it starts and that's where it stops. Ladies, I'm here to tell y'all something. All this shit that y'all got going on, some of y'all, not all of y'all, with the gays and with the trans, let it go. Your issue is not a trans woman. Your issue is not a punk or not a sissy. Your issue is all of our issue. Straight black men. Straight black men are the enemy to the gays. Straight black men are the enemy to the trans. Straight black men are who are causing harm to the girls and the women. That's where it's at. Now y'all can shoot the messenger. Y'all can call me all type of faggots on the Shade Room and all the other blog sites that's gonna pick this up and I'll eat it. But you'll never see a situation where girls and women walking around saying they scared of the gay boys. They scared of their life for the gay boys. They don't want to be around the gay boys. It ain't us going around with these fragile ass egos, can't take rejection. We've got to ask ourselves, and I don't even know if the black straight male collective can even answer this question because their egos tend to be so. Tasha K, we've been good since Spoon's wedding. Somehow or another, you got a wild hair up your ass and decided, let me pick shit with Funky Dineva. And why? When people can't access you physically, they will try to access your emotions. Try to keep my peace with you. Okay? But Tasha K, I want you to know this, and you can put this on record. Okay? You can put this on record. The next time I publicly see you, I am going to walk up to you and I'm going to slap the shit out of you. And then I'm already just throw my setup and be ready to fight your husband. And the sad part about it is I actually like your husband a lot. I have no problems with your husband. You, on the other hand, Tasha, you the same raggedy bitch that every time you see me in public, it never fails. Every time you see me in public, you run up in my face trying to be my friend.
Dandre Whitfield. I'm a proud black man and I'm reporting for duty. It was recently brought to my attention that some dude obviously looking for attention, so I won't mention his name, but I will mention his tactic. And the tactic was to mention a comment that I made during a post of Funky Dineva when he said that black men are the cancer of the black community. The comment that I dropped was that I agree and reporting for duty. If you've been following me for more than 5 minutes, you understand that I do what black men are supposed to do. I've been with the same black woman for 28 years. We have raised 2 awesome black children to become young black adults. I am not only a father to my biological children, but I am a bonus father to any child that I come across that I see is at a deficit. I wrote a book called Male versus Man, where I talk about the difference between being a male and being a man.
Straight black men are a cancer to the black community.
Straight black men are the cancer of the black community.
Black men are the cancer of the black community. The comment that I dropped was that I agree and reporting for duty.
I understand why my name wasn't mentioned.
It was recently brought to my attention that some dude obviously looking for attention, so I won't mention his name.
And honestly, I appreciate it. Because what that tells me is this: there's an awareness that if black people are directed to my platform, they're going to encounter something very different from the typical conversation. They're going to see a body of work that is rooted in data, context, and balance. A platform that holds everyone accountable while also ensuring that black men are accurately represented, not broadly mischaracterized. So when my name isn't said, I don't take that as disrespect. I take it as validation. Validation that the work I'm doing over here matters. Validation that the message carries weight. And validation that when the full picture is presented, when the truth is laid out clearly, it challenges narratives that some people, some black people, would rather leave unexamined. So for that, I'll say this directly. I appreciate you, Dandre Whitfield, because not only saying my name confirms something I've already come to understand. When the truth about black men is presented in a complete and balanced way, it doesn't always get amplified. Sometimes it gets avoided, and you refusing to tag me or mention my platform is exactly why the black community feels comfortable calling straight black men cancer.
Straight black men are the cancer of the black community.
I agree, and reporting for duty.
In what world would any group of people accept being labeled a cancer to their own community? Think about what I'm saying here. What rational person hears that and agrees with it, and yet somehow it gets normalized in the black community? Go figure.
Straight black men are the cancer of the black community.
Because accepting language like that and encouraging others to accept it, that's absolutely not progress. In fact, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to black men. It's embarrassing to black leaders, black fathers, black sons. The word cancer is...
That you don't have to sleep with them either. Okay? Because that's what all these women always think. Just because you married don't mean you have to sleep with your husband. Okay? Especially if you think he's cheating. So you don't ever have to do it. So stop thinking you do. If you think you do, then you don't.
Being a teacher in an inner city school, and I'd have one or two mothers 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes every day, coming in 30 minutes late with their bonnets and their pajamas and their footies, bringing their kid in, stopping my class 30 minutes late every day, and then getting copping attitude with me when I would say, you need to bring your child on time. We have a situation where in the black community, unfortunately, there is a lack of father and parental father strong figures in the home. And so you're seeing a lot of behavior because of that outcrop of that. And instead of like blaming whitey or blaming slavery or whatever the things that are going to be blamed on this panel, I'm 100% sure, instead of blaming whitey, why not take a look at the behavior that's going on with some members of the black community and have a come to Jesus with them about it? I think instead of being defensive about
you literally just insulted Yolanda and said this is how she walk around in the world.
She's the exception.
I'm not worried about her.
She's the exception. Instead of being offended by saying that this might be a problem with certain black people, why not have a conversation in the black community?
You do not have to like the messenger in that video, that so-called white woman. All right? You do not have to like her. But her message is so accurate, which is why you should accept what she just shared.
All right. All right. Well, we welcome everybody that's currently tuning in from their respective platforms and channels. I'm your host, Jeff St. James, and this is another episode of the Ladies Table. I'm going to introduce our ladies, and then we're going to jump straight into our straight men in the black community, the cancer. For starters, I'm going to welcome Miss Crimson Cure. Welcome, Madame. What's going on? What's going on?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us on once again.
Yep. And then I'm going to also welcome Miss Anita Stoudemire from Better Love Movement. What's going on?
Thank you so much for having me back. Hope everybody's having a great evening.
Yep. And then last but not least, Miss Maggie, the substitute teacher. What's going on?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Happy to be here.
All right, y'all. So me and the guys tried to do the best talking we could when we had the men's table. We had Dandre Whitfield on last week to give him an opportunity to kind of share his thoughts. It kind of went left. We didn't really get to maybe cover a lot of things that we wanted to, just off the strength that I think how defensive he was starting to react whenever we were asking any questions of why he was co-signing this whole, black men are straight black men are the cancer of the black community. So, what we just watched was a series of different things from Funky Dineva, on one hand saying straight black men are the issue, and then he himself being that issue with him making threats towards a black woman. We'll revisit that if y'all are open to it, as well as just a whole host of different examples, I think, of maybe what some of the potential cancers or problems in the community might be. So we can kind of just go, popcorn style. And I'm just here to really listen, because I've been waiting for about 7 days now to hear what y'all got to say about this particular topic. So let's do popcorn, or if anybody doesn't want, I can always pick a person first to go. All right, then I'm going to say Anita. Anita, go ahead and break us in and tell me your honest to God feedback of what you thought about the initial statement, and then just what comes to mind about some of the reactions of even maybe a Dandre Whitfield, him confirming or co-signing that type of language to describe our man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it happened the way it did. I expected, from what little I saw from the men's panel, I expected him to either apologize or say, you know what, I expected him to kind of reel it back, that he would apologize and say, you know what, I shouldn't have co-signed that. I shouldn't have put that comment underneath that video. I was expecting that. And I think he was trying to explain the difference between male versus man. I did not watch all of the panel, but that part I did watch, where he was trying to break down the difference between black males and black men. But really, he should have just took it all back. He should have apologized and took it all back and said, no, that wasn't an appropriate response from me to put, under that video. I shouldn't have said that. My bad, or whatever he needed to do to just reel that back in, because even with what little explanation I heard, it still wasn't going to be appropriate.
I'm gonna tell you this real quick. If you heard the first 5-10 minutes of it, you heard the whole show, because it never changed. It never changed. I'm not going to add any more commentary to that, but that's interesting that you at least acknowledged, or at least, kind of recognize that that's how it went. I don't even know if I was looking for an apology. I think I definitely was looking for more of an understanding of why people would be offended by it. And it seemed like only the rest of us seemed to understand at least why it was offensive to begin with.
Yeah.
Crimson, what about you? Is she frozen? I think she's frozen. Maggie, what about you? Go ahead.
So I was not aware of this conversation. I don't know who this person is. I feel like when I come to these panels, you all inform me about what is happening in pop culture, because I intentionally stay away from the foolishness. That being said, what stood out to me in this atrocious comment, because I had to do some research. I watched some of his content, Mr. Dineva. I also watched Miss Crimson stream on this. In the very beginning, he said, Black men, we need to have a conversation. Ladies, stand down. He is including himself in an arena where, at the risk of getting canceled yet again, he does not belong. I always hesitate to speak for men. I am not a man, but I did run my thoughts by Mr. President. I have a lot of men in my family. I am a boy mom. I have a lot of respect for men. And the men that we admire and respect, know, and love are not a drag on the community. They are the last hope that we have, because when they give up, if we think it's over now, it's really over now. This man, Mr. Dineva, does not represent even the gay men that I have known over the years. So when he says we need to have a conversation. You know, I thought about this somewhere on the internet. I'm sure there's a golf channel where they're talking about how to do the proper golf swing. I know nothing about that. So I stay out of spaces where I don't have a seat at the table. And when I talked to Mr. President, he said, straight Black men have never expected or wanted gay Black men to come in and either rescue them or correct them, because you cannot relate. I understand biologically he is a man, but when you think about the men in our community that are the builders, that are the leaders, that are the protectors, the providers, and all of those things that we admire and respect, I thought about it this way. Obviously, you know, God being the head, if you believe, even if you don't, we have the men that are the builders in the community. Below that, as far as what they admire and respect, the women that are wives, the women that are support system to them. Below that, in order of respect, are the children, the family, the ones that support the legacy. Below that, the women that are recreational use only, because even they serve a purpose. Below that, because you are not contributing in this space. If this is the hill that you're going to die on, and I am not saying all gay men, because there are gay men that are productive and there are gay men that are loved for the value that they bring to the people who know and love them. But to sit on your platform and say that Black men are the cancer and we need to have a conversation, I think he was out of line, and I could not disagree more.
Crimson, what about you?
My apologies for my little internet hiccup. So I missed a little something. However, I will go ahead and offer my thoughts on the initial message that Funky Dineva tried to say. Now, I had my show on it and I had my thoughts on it. The messenger counts with the message. I am not even going to play that game that the messenger don't count with the message. There are exceptions to that. And I think with discernment, we can understand when the exception occurs. But in this case, it is not an exception. And I ventured to speak what I thought straight Black men would say about this, about him specifically, trying to call straight Black men to the table about masculinity when yours is compromised. And that is how the men are going to see it, regardless of whether you think that's politically incorrect or whatever the case may be. The collective of Black straight men, since you wanted to parse out, he would have been somewhat all right had he just said Black man, because he is a Black man.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the Black community, whether he's rainbow or not. He would have had some of the similar experiences of a Black boy growing into a man in the Black community. So he might have been able to speak on some of those things. Now, whether or not the collective of other Black men would have listened to it is a different story, but he might have had a point. The problem is that he tried to exclude himself out of being problematic in the Black community by trying to say that it is only the straight Black men that make women and girls feel unsafe. Okay? When that is not true. I have seen videos on the internet of the little tea parties and the little rainbows trying to fight girls, because that's what they hang around with all the time. And I don't know who forgets that these are full-blown men. I don't care what kind of lace front he got on. Okay? That's a whole dude. When he square up, I don't care how limp he square up, he hit you, that's a problem.
It don't matter what he identified with.
It don't matter. His face can be beat better than yours. And if he hits you in yours, it's gonna be a problem. Because that's a whole dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So his statement about black straight men being the cancer, i.e., they are everything and the only thing that is wrong with the black community, was crazy work. Dandre Whitfield, I'm with you when you're right, brother, but I ain't with you when you're wrong. You got on that panel and didn't answer a single question. You tap dance around all them questions. You had a lot of word salad. I'm sorry, beloved. That's what happened. And I was disappointed and dismayed because I thought that he would at minimum flesh out, because he had an opportunity to do so, flesh out, okay, I was misunderstood. My post was not taken the way that I meant to deliver it. Here is what I actually think. The fact that he tap danced still around it and was trying to somewhat lay blame at the feet of black men about what they should have. And listen, let me tell you something. I believe the collective of straight black men would agree they have their own issues to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in the black community can see them.
Yep.
However, who comes to talk about it and how they come to talk about it and in what energy you are coming to talk about it matters. And I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna extend that logic to the last clip with Miss Cartwright.
Share 7.
No, the white girl, Mrs. Cartwright.
Oh, yeah. You're right, Mrs. Cartwright. Yep. She ain't going nowhere.
The messenger matters. Mrs. Cartwright can't tell me nothing about what black women need to do and what we don't need to do. Because it was her and her ilk and her foremothers that brought that foolishness of feminism and Marxism to my foremothers, which is why we got a lot of the problems going on with black women in the community today. So she's not my moral authority.
And I'm happy you brought that part up, because the same imagery that I saw with Funky Dineva speaking on this topic was actually the same thing that I saw on that stage.
Yeah.
Which is,
what is she doing?
I said, when I finally did react, somebody On the Shoulders, the brother On the Shoulders podcast, he was covering this, and I happened to hop on briefly and kind of just give my reaction and response, because the comments was crazy. Like you said, a lot of people said, man, brother ain't answer no questions. He tap dancing. Why can't you just admit, like, this is dehumanizing language and this went too far, and there's other ways to go about saying what we need to change versus saying that we're the cancer of the community. I said that I think we've normalized so many different things to where it's still shocking to me to go to that post, which is still up on Instagram, and see the sheer amount of women, especially in men and non-gay men, who are all liking and sharing and reposting it. And that imagery of that lady, the black women and the two white women sitting on that stage talking about what's wrong with our community. I thought about it for a second and I was like, these are not our women. These are not our women. Like, if I have to explain to you why my humanity matters, if that men's humanity, and it's like, it was a very, and Crimson, I'm glad you kind of picked it up. It was surreal to see a heterosexual man that's married hear what we heard and not see it as an issue. Even after, like you said, all the explanations, all the different, I even gave the example. I said, listen, brother, you know, if we had said this in the reverse, if we said gay men are the cancer of the black community, if we said black women are the cancer of the black community, how do you think that'll win? And I didn't even ask him this, and I probably should have, would you have co-signed that? The short answer is obviously no. That to me is the beginnings of recognizing just how far off we are across the board when it comes to being able to even step up. When we're talking about what leadership looks like, we can't even start with how do we talk about ourselves. we can't even get guys that are on the same side of the fence to recognize like there is such a thing as going too far with how we talk about our people. Even on our panels, we tend to talk mostly about like behaviors and certain types or subsets of people within the community. We rarely ever just be like, you know, even when we're saying Black women, we got to do better, we're more so referencing like a particular behavior. I don't know that anyone on this panel has ever referred to anybody close to in the community on a grand macro level, anything close to cancer. There was a question I wanted to ask y'all. If gay men with heterosexual men are co-signing this type of language, which is now confirming in women's minds why they can think and talk this way about their same men, how do you protect these types of women? Because that was a big talking point throughout the whole show live, was Dandre basically saying Black men need to step up to take the responsibility for things that they're not even responsible for. And he gave his own background as a child where a man kind of stepped in and was his father figure and whatnot. We have women who don't see value in us unless we're paying for certain things, who are saying that white men are better than us, who run to any type of legal enforcement. I said on this channel with this guy from On the Shoulders, when I said these aren't our women, I'm basically saying this is HBCU women. This is the Democrat Party women. This is whatever's on the news women. This is City Girl, Meg Thee Stallion, and Cardi B's women. Their loyalty, and when I say they, I mean like a large majority. They don't function as people that want protection or think they need it or want any type of leadership. How are we being sent on a dummy mission when we're being called cancer? Some people are looking at gender-based abortions. Is it crazy for Black men to have to reevaluate what types of Black women they should be trying to lead and trying to protect? Let's start with Crimson, then Anita, then Maggie.
You cannot protect what cannot be influenced, what cannot be led, and what cannot be corrected. So the answer to the question is you don't. You don't protect them, because what do that even mean for real? Going out to do what with them? Protect them how? Because this is a part of their sign language. We are unprotected, but you're also incorrigible as well. So the women who are being protected are the ones who place themselves voluntarily under the covering of either husbands or the men of their communities, families, etc. Right? So that's my answer, is you don't protect them. You don't. The other thing that I wanted to speak to was something that you alluded to with Mr. Whitfield, one of his responses. And I was listening to that whole section of the conversation also, where he's like, well, we step up to do things that we are not, to fix things that we didn't break, which would actually go against his point of validating what Funky Dineva said, because the section of Black men who take the energy and time out to dedicate themselves and extend themselves beyond people that they necessarily have an obligation to, that would belong to the straight Black men. That belongs to that category. Those men, like he was saying, I'm the bonus dad to other, you know what I'm saying, young people who are missing father figures and things of that nature. Are you not a straight Black man that's doing that? Because I don't see a lot of rainbow men doing that. The whole concept of being rainbow is antithetical to everything that a community means, because they don't build family units. So we not finna play this game. You going out and adopting these kids and raising them in the foolishness that you got going on is not a family unit. I don't care what nobody say. You take that to the bank, clip it. Crimson Cure said it. It's not a family unit. So that whole situation, that whole part of subset of the community or whatever, is antithetical. And people like Funky Dineva need to go concentrate on why the white people, the white rainbows don't like you. That's your community. Go figure that out. You don't got nothing to figure out with straight black men because, like Miss Maggie said earlier, you don't have a seat at that table, sir.
Jeez.
You have an XY chromosome, but your masculinity is compromised. So a lot of what you gotta say to straight black men, it's bouncing off the they laughing. Because first thing they go, man, you take D, bro. What you talking about? I'm listening to you. What? They trying to figure out what? Like who you talking to? Because that's not even your audience. Straight black men is not even his audience at all. And we've been figured out a couple of years ago, him and Claudia Jordan were having a talk on that Fox Soul, and they said out loud, they said the quiet part out loud, that hyenas and rainbow black men have always had an alliance against heterosexual black men. So we're not gonna play that game. I'm sorry, I might have got off track a little bit. I'm sorry.
Listen, I think that's the right track. Nita, what about you?
I would agree with Miss Crimson. A man that has no authority can have no responsibility, right? So if he has no authority, if a woman refuses to give him a measure of authority over her life or her children's life, he can have no responsibility. And so I explain that to women every single day. A man must have authority. He must be able to influence you. He must be able to speak into your life and into the life of your children. And if that is not the case, I do strongly encourage men to go the other way. You should not try to bridle some wild, animal of a woman. No, I don't think that's the answer. I think they need to go the other way. And as someone else here stated, it's going to be really sad if our black men actually do that. If they actually go the other way, we're all going to be in trouble.
Cooked, because I've been wondering this question for a minute and I'm glad you both answered it the way that you did. Obviously, you can't lead, you can't protect people that don't want to be led or protected until they feel like they want it on their terms. And what I'm realizing is the same people who keep talking about wanting to dismantle a patriarchy are the same people who keep begging for aspects of it. What the hell do y'all want? Do y'all want heterosexual straight black men to lead, protect, demand, dictate, take control? Or is some version of this only like, well, we need y'all on the sidelines whenever we get in trouble, but other than that, be quiet and let us do what we want to do out here? That's what it's starting to sound like. Do y'all want an actual patriarchy? Because y'all keep complaining about the lack of masculinity, the lack of leaders, that all the toxic men in society are taking over and causing all this harm. It sounds like y'all begging for a patriarchy that y'all. Am I confused? Is this what Anita? Am I crazy? Is this what they're asking for? I don't get it. Maggie, what about you?
So you asked the question about should we protect these kind of Black women? The answer is no. And here's why. I think we said maybe on episode 1, yes, our community is in a crisis. We have a lot of work to do, full stop. However, I think instead of trying to protect the extreme facets of the community that are howling at the moon and doing damage and refuse to get in line, I think men humbly, because I'm not a man, I think men, and I know men, should protect their own. It starts with the family unit. When we get our homes in order, when we get our families in order, the community in time will correct itself. Maybe not in my lifetime, but I just want to say this again, at the risk of being canceled. Ladies, you are not entitled to protection. You are not entitled to a covering. You are not entitled to resources. You are not entitled to a comfortable life. You have to earn that by being part of a covering, a husband, a home. That way you get his name, his resources, his protection, his provision, all of that. You don't just say protect all women and then you go out there and continue to do whatever you want to do. It doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. So again, for Mr. Dineva, just because you have an opinion, just because you have a microphone, doesn't mean that your point is going to be received. When I told Mr. President about this, literally he laughed. He's like, we got too much stuff to do. I'm not even listening to that. That's what happens to the people who, again, your point may be valid, but you have not earned the right to speak to the audience that you are trying to chastise. So my advice, he didn't ask for it, but I did go back and look at some of Mr. Dineva's content. And he has been saying this for some years. Like Ms. Crimson said, he needs to address the relationship in his own community. I think this is a man who, and he had said that he has some father wounds there. He didn't really have anybody to guide him and show him the way how to show up in the world. So he's searching, he's looking, he's in the barbershop looking for somebody to show him the way. Unfortunately, that was his experience, but you are not entitled to someone who is doing the right thing by their family to stop and come see about you. Same thing applies to wayward women. Stop behaving that way, get in line, and you would be surprised at how much easier it is to get what you need and what you want, but you're not going to be able to play both sides of the fence. So no, don't protect the women. And I'll say this, I had an experience, very humbling. Mr. President has been saying this, warning, when the Gen Xers pass on, it is going to be a new day. These young men, it is different. The way we were raised, and I'm 50, especially here in the South, a man will open the door, he'll do things, and that still happens. But I was taking one of my parents to an appointment, and there was a younger man walking in front of me, taking his elderly person to the appointment, let the door just slam right behind him. And there was a moment I was kind of like, wow. But then I remembered, you know what? They live in a world where they can't be nice to a woman. They can't compliment a woman. They can't make eye contact. They can't speak to you. If they do anything that comes across as a threat, it could cost them everything. So I understand and I sympathize. Ladies, be careful. All of us are going to pay the price for this. So if you don't have your own, if you don't have somebody who is checking for you, you are on your own, and you get the results of that.
I appreciate that, because that's what the trend is starting to turn into. And the ladies are complaining about the environment they themselves created, right? I forget flirting in the workplace. That's over. Y'all don't want us flirting with y'all in the gym. That's a wrap. Y'all pulling out your phones during dates like dummies. I'm like, this is getting out of hand. And I think, having simps and panderers and gay men and a segment of the Black women within the community, constantly only able to see heterosexual men as a threat and looking at us through the worst lens possible, I'm really, really realizing, I'm like, you know what? Somebody, Mr. Blanchard, he covered this so well. I'm going to play a brief clip from him where he shows, and he kind of gives his response, where he basically says, like, we see who y'all are idolizing and who y'all are listening to, whether it's certain female icons or celebrities, singers, rappers, or whatnot, and they're demonstrating some of the worst behavior imaginable from a community standpoint. And y'all keep propping up and seeing these people as heroes and icons. And then when we critique their behavior, y'all lose your minds as if we just talked about God. And I'm like, okay. If we're telling you what the problem is as men, if we're telling you what we don't like and y'all are arguing about, let me play this real quick and see what y'all think.
So if men don't like hoes, can somebody explain to me what's going on here? Her chart looks exactly like the same chart I'm seeing people pass around the Megan Thee Stallion one. Yeah, I don't see anybody going up to Travis Kelce calling him a simp. I don't see nobody talking about Travis Kelce asking them, why did he propose to a ran through woman? Ran through cat is ran through cat. When Taylor Swift got proposed to by Travis Kelce, why didn't white men go around making a graph like this of Taylor Swift? No other group of women gets disrespected by their own community on this scale the way Black women do, and y'all wonder why Black women act the way they act. So
Now notice she said ran through cat is ran through cat. She specified that because she knows that Taylor Swift does not behave like Meg Thee Stallion. She knows that Taylor Swift does not behave like Meg Thee Stallion. Presentation is everything. And so what Black women believe is that their presentation is good no matter how bad it is. So what Amber is saying is that get married. In other words, Black women should be able to get hoes because men want hoes. Now keep in mind, I'll say this again, Black men have asked Black women to fix their mouth and they've said no. Black men have asked Black women to fix their attitude and they said no. Black men have asked Black women to stop wearing someone else's hair and they said no. But now Amber is saying, but because men, including Black men, want hoes, then we'll oblige that. We won't listen to nothing else, but we'll be hoes. Isn't that convenient? How convenient is that? How convenient is it for Black women to disregard everything a Black man says, but then when it comes to her believing that he wants a hoe, or they can do that, they can be hoes very well. I'm gonna say this again.
I'm seeing people pass around and making it.
Y'all, I don't think I've ever heard somebody capture it to the T. We tell y'all all the time what we want. We tell y'all all the time what it is, what we like, what we don't like, what's for fun, what's serious, what we'll invest in, what's a short-term, long-term. And y'all ignore, downplay, or argue and debate on these panels, debate in the relationships. And then when it's something negative, y'all will do it. And these are your icons. These are your icons. Ladies, I know that this is hard to believe, and I want y'all to respond as soon as I'm done what I'm about to say. I think women forget that the internet exists for men too. We're looking at the same internet that y'all use, share, say all y'all crazy thoughts, strategies, techniques. We can watch it too. When we see and find out women idolize any of this that we see on the screen, we already know what category to put you in. When men stop arguing, ladies, that's actually, to me, when the leadership really begins. When men stop arguing and debating about whether it's going to be my voice or Jada Pickett's voice, my voice or Meg Thee Stallion's voice. Tell me what y'all think. Let's start with Maggie.
So when I look at this list, I don't disagree mostly. The only exception I would say, and I can't even call it an exception, but I just want to offer something that is helpful because I did have a little bit of a rant. Number 7 being Beyonce. Beyonce, I think, has been an example of how you can continue to have your art, your performance or whatever, but what she sings about, to the left, and the single ladies and all that, when you compare that to how she actually lives her life, it is very different. Now, I'm not there. I don't know what happens in anybody's home, but from the outside in, we have never seen Beyonce show up on a red carpet and get down on all fours and show her whole backside for attention. I have never seen that. Now, she may go on stage and say, I'm Sasha Fierce, and have her act, or whatever you do privately in your own home. But I agree that for the most part, these women are not anything to be emulated. But if you do have a side that is a little expressive, keep that contained. We need to be able to read the room, switch gears. I'm thinking back on that, Megan Thee Stallion event, the formal event where she's in a gown and he's in a tux and she's
yodeling.
Exactly. Nobody else is doing that. So, I'm not saying that you can't have fun. You don't need to be a prude, but you need to understand where that man is going. And if you want to be with that, in Beyonce's case, $1 billion man, there's a lot of stuff that she doesn't do in certain rooms. And we have never, and she's been married, I think, 20 years and 3 children, something like that. So that's the only thing that I would say. But no, these are not the celebrities that we want to idolize. And I think idolizing celebrities at all is the problem. No, we need the real examples at home, in our nuclear family, in our communities. That is who we need to take our cues from, not somebody who we see snippets of their life.
And everybody that's currently watching from our respective platforms, if you have not done so, please make sure that you like and subscribe to all of the ladies and everybody that you're seeing on the screen right now. And feel free to submit a super chat if you have a question, comment, or remark that you want us to cover before we end things today. Crimson, what you thinking?
First of all, I would like to respectfully disagree with Miss Maggie. Beyonce don't get no pass with her little hypocritical music. She influenced an entire generation of young women with that foolishness, and then went home and did something different. Kind of like how white women did when they did feminism, told what we don't need, and tear down the patriarchy, and then they went home to their men and left everybody else twisting in the wind with that foolish mindset. To speak on the clip that we saw with about Taylor Swift, me mind what Taylor Swift is doing. Okay, me mind what she doing, because black women is always worried about the wrong thing. You worried about what Mrs. Cartwright is doing. Miss Cartwright been a hoe. Mrs. Cartwright been a hoe, and her men know she a hoe and a bot. That is why they do all that. Oh, I was in college and experimenting in college, and then they get married after that, and they whole thing is wiped away, like they didn't do that in all of their college years, and then they get married and go on about their life like they've been wives, and they have not been wives. Okay. And a lot of their marriages break down at the end of it too, because he done married a hoe, because that's what she was anyway. All right. So me mind what Mr. William Cartwright and his woman is doing, because they got their own situation going. Taylor Swift is a bot. And I've said that before. She quote unquote don't twerk or whatever, but she a bop. She been a public bop.
Let's be honest. Hold on, Crimson. Let's be honest. She ain't got nothing to twerk with. Let's be honest.
But
Taylor ain't got nothing to twerk with to begin with. And number two, black men ain't even like for her. Black men, and that's the thing. What you said was black men aren't keep pointing at other directions of other people getting away with bad behavior doesn't excuse what you got going. Continue. My bad.
It doesn't exclude it. You trying to worry about what Mrs. Cartwright is doing. She a bop. Her man know that. She know he ain't no good, and she know he don't like women. Leave that over there with them. Okay, they got their own problems. I got heavy opinions about they culture and how they operate. We're talking about us. Okay, stop worrying about what other women, what white women do it too type of situation. It doesn't matter what white women do. Y'all, for whatever reason, she's still y'all authority of what a woman is supposed to be.
Jesus.
And she don't know what it is either. We taught, our foremothers taught her what a woman was. Okay? Get that together. She didn't know either. Just like the forefathers of our men taught they men how to be men. So they are not the authority. So moving on. Black men have already said collectively what they are looking for in black women in terms of wife, longevity, relationships, taking women seriously, and things of that nature. Okay. And it's really just surface stuff, what they were talking about, the nails and the hair and the this and the that and blah, 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 blah. Black women took that all the way around. Y'all don't want us to beautify ourselves. Of course they do. And women are going to beautify anyway, because that's our nature. We want to beautify ourselves. The men are not going to get that out of us. Okay. I don't care if they did say, we don't want women to beautify themselves at all. That's not going to happen, period. Okay, because if we have to take twigs and do something with them, we're going to do that and to say it's cute. Yep. All right? So now, they didn't say that they wanted you to be a hootenanny all day. They said, stop putting that clown makeup on, looking like a whole different person. Stop wearing them 40-inch bust downs and you never see your real hair and you don't take care of it. All of that kind of, well, Black women know what they're talking about. Black women know exactly what the men are saying. They just want to be hard-headed. So a hard head make a soft behind. That's all it is. If you don't want to get in line about what the men want and conform so that you can actually find a man that you can respect and take seriously and love, and he can respect you and take you seriously and love you. If you can't conform, then stay out here in the boneyard and scrap around like you've been doing. I don't want to hear no complaining and belly aching.
Scrap around. No. Ladies, if the only men you respect and listen to in this community is the gay ones, go ahead and have your lavender wedding. Go ahead and have your lavender wedding and just get together, have a kid, and do what y'all gonna do. Because if y'all don't respect heterosexual men with any of their standards, anything that they're trying to say, we're saying it on social media. I haven't seen a single panel where a Black woman isn't challenging Black men about their standards. I have yet to see one panel yet where they're just listening. I have not seen it yet. Y'all don't even go back and forth this much with gay men. If y'all respect gay men that much, why don't y'all just be together? Or do some little fake ass relationship or something? Because this doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna do the elephant in the room. Black women and gay men. Y'all not the allies that y'all try to pretend to be. We just saw the clip of what happens when sometimes gay men get upset and gay men get angry. The B word comes out. They start threatening you with physical violence. They start treating you like one of the girlies because you've been treating him like one of the girlies. Gay men have no problem getting down to an emotional level where they can react and respond and treat you just like a woman. They're just a whole hell of a lot stronger. But y'all keep treating each other like girlfriends. Gay men, what's the first thing Black women gonna say to a heterosexual Black man whenever he says something that Black women don't agree with? Oh, you must be gay. Why are they using y'all lifestyle as a slur towards us? But they love and respect y'all that much. Allies. Now we're gonna get to the question. The real part of this discussion I want us to kind of jump into today is beyond isolating straight heterosexual Black men and saying we're quote unquote the cancer. What's the other forms or examples of potentially other forms of cancer that's infiltrated and a part of the culture, the community, and what you're seeing? Because when we're framing this discussion of everything that's functionally the cancer and what's wrong with the community is basically heterosexual Black men, I think that lets a whole lot of people and a whole lot of groups off from accountability about what's going on. Even when we were trying to talk with Mr. Whitfield, and we kept saying, even if we do everything we're supposed to do, what are the women supposed to do? And if the women are to expect this from us, what's the caliber of how they're supposed to behave and act in order to expect that in return from us? We got nothing. So now I'm going to ask ladies, because I couldn't get it from Mr. Whitfield. What's the cancer that you're seeing within our women, outside of the community that's impacting the community, and within our heterosexual, and within our Black men? What's some cancerous behaviors that you all might be noticing or observing that could also be contributing? Because I'll name one straight off the rip. Nobody has accountability in this community, especially our women, when it comes to what's happening at these pride events. Let me play this. Now I got some questions. Alphabets. Gave people in my life and friendships and groups right now, and I've said this to them one-on-one. If you ever think that this is appropriate, we can't be cooler friends anymore. And they themselves confirm and agree with me. Y'all got men barely wearing anything. Some men wearing even less than what that gentleman was wearing. Twerking and revealing themselves with children in the audience. Grooming. And we talking about black men, straight heterosexual black men are the cancer. When y'all doing this out in the open, no accountability for anybody that's not a heterosexual straight black man, but everybody else get to do and act and behave how they want, even in front of children. I think that's cancerous behavior. Anita, then Maggie, then Miss Crimson.
Okay, so if straight black men are the cancer of the community, then the gay boys are the diabetes of the community, and the women are the heart disease of the community.
Oh my Jesus!
So
please break that down, please.
Yeah.
Please tell me why. Please.
I mean, it's the gay boys, the sweet boys, are causing just as much problems with their behavior. They're not supporting the family unit. And here's the thing I think is fascinating. I always thought this was fascinating. So in the last 10 years, have you noticed that women are now like, they're looking like the trans men. They're looking like drag queens. I always thought that was fascinating. Like, why? We're women. Why are we painting our face on and putting on someone else's hair like we're drag queens? Like, you're a woman. I never understood that. But it's like we're modeling ourselves after them. They're not, that's really odd to me. I always thought that was really odd. I'm like, you look like the drag queen, and yet you're a woman. So I never understood that. I never understood the dynamic of the gay black man and the black woman. I never understood that dynamic. To me, I don't understand what the alliance is. I just don't get it.
You know what? Because it's not that there's the fact that there's a relationship that's the problem. That's not actually the problem to me. I think a huge part of the issue and the problem is they can do something for each other that they cannot often get from us, from my respective group. The men get validation from the women. The gay men, they get an extra boost of validation and acceptance from the women that at times they may not feel they're able to get as easily from groups of heterosexual men. And then with the women, they get to be coddled and propped up and placed on pedestals without having to be held accountable for them same men in terms of an actual relationship. Because he's a friend and not your lover, he can always excuse your bad behavior. So they're doing things for each other that they can't always get from heterosexual men. They're fulfilling needs and desires that they're not always going to be able to get consistently from us. That's actually what's going on. It's validation, it's inclusion, it's validation, and it's getting access to, not getting access, being able to skirt accountability while still reaping the benefits of being viewed in a positive light. They're almost always going to get that from a gay man, unless, of course, they have a falling out, then that's different. But that's what I think is going on. Maggie, what about you? Forms of what cancerous behaviors have you seen in the community that also needs attention other than just violent, abusive, heterosexual black men?
Baby mama culture. Stop bringing bastard children into the community. This has nothing to do with gay men. It starts with the family. And as long as we allow and welcome and celebrate and equate a woman who does not require marriage to have children and say that men aren't needed, you can do it by yourself. All you need is one parent. I'm mom and dad. We are going to continue to waddle in this disgusting culture that we have. It is not okay. It is not acceptable. It is wrong. And we need to say that. There's too many forms of birth control. I don't care what he says. Until he claims you as his own, you are putting yourself at risk, not only your health, but you're putting your reputation at risk. You're going to have to carry that for the rest of your life. So just like the men are saying, protect your seed, ladies, you have to protect your womb. I don't care if you talked about it. He said he wanted to marry me. I thought we were serious. I thought none of that matters. You have to stop having these illegitimate children. That is the cancer in our community. And here is how it metastasizes. You think you can do everything by yourself when they're cute and everything. Oh yeah, you're having fun. When that child becomes a teenager, as a boy starts punching holes in the wall, as a girl starts sassing you, you're going to be looking for a man to come in and fix it. You're going to be looking for somebody else's husband who did do the right thing and create his own intact family to stop what he's doing to come fix you in a father figure, a coach, a play uncle or anything. So no, do it right the first time. That is the cancer in the community.
You know what? Related to exactly what you said, ladies, why is the choice only we getting an abortion or we ending up with a deadbeat? Why are women operating and those are the only two options? He's got to be a deadbeat that's not involved, who's the worst guy ever but was good enough to sleep with, or I'm making an appointment on Tuesday for Planned Parenthood. Because listen, we could talk about the violence of men and a whole host of things. We don't have nothing on those doctors' office tables. We got nothing compared to Planned Parenthood.
But see, neither one of those options, Jeff, require women to take radical personal responsibility. That's why. Neither one of those options say, me, what should I have done to prevent this? Or what am I going to do? There's no personal responsibility. There's no accountability.
Crimson, what you think?
I think a couple of things. To answer the question flat out, one of the cancers is whole culture. Inviting the culture of prostitution and whoring into dating spaces and relationships and conflating these things. Okay? That is cancerous and crazy. All right? Sitting around with each other, and I've said this before, we do the whole, or those of us in the community do the whole situationship thing, vibing, nobody's having a conversation and all of that. Doing the transaction and then getting mad that it's not a covenant. Getting mad. Oh, this man isn't doing husband stuff. This woman ain't doing wife stuff. Is that what y'all signed up for? Was that what y'all was trying to do? Because I could have been, am I tweaking? Because y'all got together off of one of them apps. Did you not hooked up same day? Did you not? So who was supposed to be doing what? Why is the expectation that there's a relationship that's supposed to be happening, but nobody went into it with the mindset of a relationship or a marriage or a covenant or anything. Everybody went into it looking for what they wanted out of it. And then now, man, she won't do what I say. So he won't pay no bill. So, and he wasn't supposed to. You wasn't supposed to. Nobody owes anybody anything. And then this is where them babies come from. See, the lie is that they want everybody to believe that there was some type of real relationship and family unit, and then the baby came and then he left. That's not. They're having kids in situationships. That's where the majority of the out of wedlock, oh my God, I'm pregnant. That's the majority is happening on the hookup. Oh, we was just vibing, we've been kicking it, and all of that. That's where it's coming from. There was never a household with a man in it for him to leave it. He don't even like you. So why was you having a baby anyway? Why was you even doing that? Then what killed me is I'm not in condoning of baby deletions and stuff like that. Like I'm not in condoning of that. because I feel like you could just prevent the pregnancy to begin with. But it's there, and all of a sudden they be getting godly. I don't believe in doing that. What, really?
God always come back to focus after. How they get that? You know when they say the God got
the focus when you was cracking them legs open. Was God the focus? What you doing?
She was saying Jesus. She was screaming Jesus
Lord.
in that moment. In my opinion, they were screaming Jesus in that moment.
But what God was they calling on? See, you gotta don't make me get deep talking about some all God. But which one was they calling on? See, we don't know who they were talking to. You understand? Because he had them messed up and in a crazy predicament after the fact. So my answer to the question, one of the big cancers in our community is whore culture, and trying to have elements of whore culture conflated with relationships, dating, and so forth and so on, and wondering why dating don't turn into marriage, because it starts with prostitution. Y'all are doing prostitution. Those two worlds were never meant to mix. They were separate, and they should have remained so. To your point, before I shut my mouth, Mr. Jeff, you made a point that I have made before. The rainbow men and the hyenas that support them are in a symbiotic relationship. Okay, just as you fleshed out a few minutes ago. The rainbow men are getting some kind of validation from women, which is not good enough for them, by the way, because they would like validation from straight men, but they're not going to get it. Especially not as a collective. Okay, they want to be approved, and it can't be approved. Masculinity collectively cannot approve it and still remain masculinity. The hyenas that support them are able to get masculine energy without being responsible and accountable to that masculine energy, because that masculine energy is not in leadership nor authority over them. They're the only men that they can be peers with. Okay, so it makes them feel good because women are not men's peers.
Wow.
What we have to take a step further in what you were saying is that these are the derelicts of the community, the fringes. They done got together. They're on the outside. They're the outcasts. Because the women who fully support the rainbow, those are not all the women. I want to make that clear. We don't actually support that. That's a whole different subgroup that support and, you know what I'm saying, pick up the lingo and bring it to the women to clock it and all that foolishness. Okay, that's a whole different subgroup. They get into these chat rooms with each other and talk all that foolishness. Okay, and then they be getting mad with each other and all that kind of stuff because lines get crossed. They have created, the outcasts have created their own outcast group in a gray area that neither of them can receive respect or approval. So they try to get it from each other and then shame the rainbow men, try to shame the straight men into why y'all don't respect us and why y'all don't see us a certain way and blah, 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 blah. And the females who support the rainbow try to actually shame other women. Y'all are being so homophobic. You know, why y'all don't support this and that? Because we don't support these men in these women's spaces. We don't support it. Get out of the space. They're not female. I don't care what kind of lace front you put on. I don't care. See, we don't support EJ. You deprived us of one of the best small forwards in the league. You deprived us of this. We don't want to talk to you. You were supposed to have been a power forward, and you're not. Talking about you outclassing the girls with your jawline.
Breaking heels left and right. The audacity. This is crazy.
Man,
This is
a size
chaos.
15 in Luke.
And then they arguing about, and then now we're at a stage where they're arguing with biological women about who is and isn't a woman. This is what y'all get. This is what y'all get. Y'all listen, man. Listen, man, and then we're, when we all talk later this week, when we try to do a second episode this week to kind of catch up on, the wide receiver Stephon Diggs, this whole ongoing discussion about Me Too. I don't think the people, men and women, maybe some of them I'm sure get it, but a lot of the people who co-sign the most dangerous language that's being used to dehumanize straight black men, that probably explains why you have an automatic assumption of guilt whenever a black man gets accused of anything. Because ladies, I want, not the ladies on the panel, all the ladies that's currently watching us, I want to throw out an idea to y'all. Imagine the way that you instantly assume every black man that's accused of anything, especially if it involves a woman, he's automatically guilty. Even if he proves his innocence, you could be loud with the condemnation and completely pretend as if he ain't innocent and that the person didn't lie on him. Reimagine that happening to all the black men in your life that you actually cherish. Fathers, brothers, uncles. Imagine all the black men that you personally do trust and do life with and depend on. And reimagine that the way you think about all the black men that don't fall in that bucket, that's how a huge percentage of black women are going to view your black brother, your black nephew, your black son. So when you keep using dehumanizing language, don't expect people to see the humanity in your black male friend or somebody you're connected with, because this is all the conditioning they've been getting. Y'all don't think about that when it comes close to home. We tend to only think that way when it's everybody else. Well, it's everybody else's dad that's the predator, not mine. It's everybody else's black man that's the problem. My black man is straight. My black man is cool. It don't work like that when it comes to how narratives are built. What each of the ladies on this panel has been trying to warn y'all is, if y'all don't slow down with who you're allowing yourself to be influenced by, between the alphabets and many of the ladies on the screen and many more, first of all, half of them not even living what they preaching and telling you. You so prideful about your independence, but you'll never get to number 7 status. You listen to all these women and you forget they're rich. You're not. Half of them look better than y'all. It's not hard. So y'all don't have the pretty privilege, the status, the clout, or the money. Do y'all realize listening to Jada Pinkett Smith for relationship advice is the equivalent of listening to a child predator on how to babysit? Don't even make sense. You are the antithesis of what we're trying to build and push in this society and culture. So ladies, I think there's so many different directions we can go with this, but for the sake of time, what would be your final warnings to the ladies and even the men that are co-signing what Lucky Dineva is pushing when it comes to using such disgusting and dehumanizing language? I want to do Anita, then Maggie, then Crimson to close this out.
One thing that I have noticed recently, probably in the last 6 months, and I mean, it's been going on longer than that, but there has been an uptick in the misandry. Like, the way women speak about men is dehumanizing. And we all know that in this gynocentric society that we live in, the opposite of that would never fly. That would never fly for men to go on podcasts, go on shows, and openly talk the way women have been talking about men, in the dehumanizing way that they talk about men. So that is like mind altering, that this is what we're doing. That's why Funky Dineva felt so free to say what he said, because this is now, it's very open. It's very much in your face, other women doing this and, making all these ridiculous TikToks and, using all this degrading language when they're talking about men. That's like making my jaw drop, that this is what we're allowing now. The misandry is off the charts, and it's been going on for years, but something about the last 6 months, it has reached this fever pitch. Like they will openly say in public, I hate men. like, wow. So that to me is dangerous. It's really, really dangerous because again, if men really do go their own way, if they really do leave women alone, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in trouble. Everything in this society, everything we see was built and created by men. And so if they just decide to walk away, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. A lot of women need to repent. That's a big problem in our community, is the lack of humility. They need to repent for some of the things that they've said, some of the things that they've done, and they need to take on more of a humble spirit. And that's probably falling on deaf ears, but that's what needs to happen. And they need to just humble themselves.
Anita, I appreciate that. And what you just said about how blatant and how open it is, the instant thing came to mind for me. If the patriarchy and the threat of heterosexual straight men is so dangerous, so scary, why y'all feel so comfortable saying this stuff online, showing your faces? Normal group chats, super chats, showing all this stuff, 1 million+ subscribers talking about how to steal and take advantage from men. And nothing happens to you. Maybe the threat and how they frame and talk about black men, heterosexual black men, is not quite what they make it out to be. Because I have a feeling that if we were truly as terrifying, as scary, I don't think they would dress the way they would out in public. They damn sure wouldn't. Can you imagine a gay man saying this about Islam in certain Islamic cultures? It wouldn't even cross, like, you know what the potential consequences would be. But they talk about our men here as if they're over there. But they're bold enough and feel so easily able to just post and stuff and say the type of things and call men out their name. They could do all this stuff. We didn't even get to the bidirectional abuse stats and everything that shows a lot of times it's female initiated. They not as scared of black men as they claim it they are. That's why they keep getting pregnant. Go ahead, Maggie. I'm sorry.
So the warning to the women. You asked about final words for the gay men and the women or men that champion this. I'm going to set the gay men aside for the same reason as before. In this conversation, they are a non-factor. They have not earned the right to speak. They do not have a seat at the table. And the masculine men that we admire and respect, do not take them seriously, full stop. The hyenas, as Miss Crimson calls them, the women that are bottom of the barrel, the women that are gone. We have all said that everybody can't go. I'm also going to set them to the side. They will receive their fate. But to be helpful for the women that may be confused and think that this is funny, think that this is a trend, or just kind of pile on because as women, we do survive in community, do not let men like Mr. Dineva or the bottom of the barrel women lead you into a burning building. The internet is forever. And one of the things Mr. President tells me is that, look, until the good ones start standing up and speaking out, everybody can get it. So you're going to have to take a side and you're going to have to take a stand. And if you think it's cute or it's funny to say, yeah, we hate men. Yeah, they're stupid. Yeah, I'd rather have a bear. Okay, keep it up. Keep it up. Because the men that you really want, didn't we talk about Miss Leslie Jones, who everything that she said about how terrible marriage was, we know good and well, she would probably give her left arm to have somebody really care for her. So you all are saying this stuff because it's trending right now. But when that reckoning happens, like we all said, and I don't know what it is, but I've just had this sense that something is coming. Something is coming to get all of this right. And there's going to be the men that you had so much lip for. They're just going to say, oh, okay, yeah. And they're not arguing with you. They're not talking to you. They're not debating with you. They are moving accordingly. And you will look up and they will be 20 paces ahead, and you will be, what about me? Remember me? I didn't mean it. I've changed. No, I don't agree with that. If you know that you want to have a man's covering, you need to get right now and make sure that the decisions that you're making and the actions that you're taking and the words that you're saying now are going to benefit you when that time comes, because it's not going to be pretty, and you're not going to be able to say, well, I didn't mean it. I was young and dumb. It is not going to fly. So that is my warning to the women that are not lost yet, because it could also be you.
Wow. Wow. And Crimson, what about you?
I'm going to agree with Miss Maggie about setting hyenas to the side. They choose where they want to be. So you could just be over there. Don't nobody care, because you want to do this stuff that you're doing. I will speak to women, particularly young ones, who do not have any kind of real guidance about how to be a woman. Because we have to understand that the same households that we say, oh, well, the boys are not acting right because they're being raised by these single mothers and the dysfunctional household, the girls are being raised in that same house. So she's not getting anything better than that boy is getting. She is, just because a woman is raising her doesn't mean that she's learning how to be a woman in that household. She's not. The majority of lionesses come from hyena households. Okay? The majority of lionesses come out of hyena households, not lioness households. All right? So we have to pick our way through foolishness to get to something that is useful, to figure out what we actually need to be doing to be women, because we don't fit in the boneyard. The boneyard does not accept us. On the back of that statement, I would urge young lionesses to take that as a cue. That is a good thing. If you do not fit with the boneyard, do not try to force that fit, because you will get their outcome. It is a good thing. It is a cue that you should take. It is a nice little green flag that you don't fit with the boneyard and they don't like you and they don't accept you socially and you can't be with them and they talk about you. Oh, she's always trying to be with the men. She do everything that all of that. Take that as a thumbs up that those women are hyenas and you aren't. That's why you don't fit. It's hurtful because the way women socialize, we socialize where we want to be accepted by the group prevalent around us because we learn how to be women from that. Ostracism from the group typically means lack of safety. Somehow that's how it registers in a woman's mind, in a girl's mind. Even your mama can be your ops. She don't like you either sometimes, and that's hurtful as well. But I urge you to accept the distance that they are trying to create and find God so that you can find a spiritual foundation from which to work. Okay? That will give you, your spiritual value will give you principles, moral codes, and codes to live by that will become non-negotiable for you. You need that level of foundation and stability in your own mind and in your own heart to give you the strength you'll need to accept the ostracism that's coming, because the wheat and the chaff will be separated. So therefore, you want to know which one you're on. You want to be wheat. It's hard to be wheat. It's hard to be a wheat. Lionesses don't have easy lives. All that stuff about women live on easy mode, not lionesses. We don't. Okay, all that. We don't got to do nothing and the men don't expect nothing. That's not the life of a lioness at all. Men expect everything from us. We the ones got to do the work. We don't get to sit back on our haunches and kick up a toe. All of that work that y'all be talking about on the internet, oh, wives do so many. Wives do that work. Hyenas don't do that work. Okay? So it goes back to something that we said the last week or the week before when Miss Anita was talking about being good for the sake of being good. That's why I focused on the spiritual value, because that's where that stalwartness comes from. Because without it, you'll go wherever the wind goes. Nobody trusts a person that go wherever the wind goes.
Yep.
And that's, I'll leave it there.
I'll just put it out there, especially to the ladies who are still single, haven't found what they're looking for. If you want to know whether you're a hyena or not, if you interpret feedback as an attack, that's why you don't end up with the men you can actually respect. Only women who can view feedback as a form of protection and love are probably going to get that. They're going to create an environment for where they are welcoming to learn how to be a better woman for the man that's in front of them. If dating you is basically me dating one of the women on this screen in terms of their mindset, and you probably don't even look like them, more and more men are waking up and realizing they're actually not signing up for this. And if they get really, really good, they won't care how beautiful you are either. If your mindset is one where you idolize, not being a fan of some of their music and, loving some of the bops, we're talking about idolizing, excusing, always justifying what they're doing if it's crazy, what they're saying is misandrous, disrespectful, antithetical to a marriage. Ladies, what I'm basically warning y'all is men are adapting. Plain and simple, men are adapting. And I hope that y'all listen to the ladies on this panel. I respect each of them. And I was very, very careful when we started this panel to make sure I got people who I like listening to, but also who have a wealth of experience and knowledge. I highly, highly recommend that you all follow and look up these ladies' work, their body of work, their platforms, their channels, their books. And please support these ladies. They have one-on-one coaching. They have femininity courses, etc. Please, please, please subscribe, support these ladies. Feel free to hit the super chat if you haven't done so. I want to thank everybody that's tuned in. We're going to have a second show on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to cover the Stefan Diggs debacle of him being found not guilty and this whole ongoing discussion, even in terms of Me Too, and that men are, of course, adapting to that as well. So, ladies, be mindful of who you're allowing to influence you. And y'all, just to clarify, if we're now saying those are the people we're paying attention to that we know we don't want in our lives and influence in our relationships, we're probably going to start looking to see who's liking a lot of their most toxic posts. Just a thought, ladies. So if you hadn't realized why maybe there's a decline in the quality of men really checking your way, maybe start with your social media feed. Just a thought. All right, y'all. So have a good evening, and we're going to see y'all in the next 48 hours. But thanks, everybody. Please become a subscriber. Please become a member of our channels if you haven't done so. And thanks again for the support, and we'll see y'all on the other side. Deuces. Peace.